Coming up on the show, I'll break down this week's matchups in Bonaventure sports, and I sit down with senior men's rugby player AJ Vitanza. This is Bona Sports Weekly. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. I am your host, Zach Warren. It is time to highlight what's happening in SBU sports this week. We'll start with a busy weekend in soccer. The 4-5-1 women's team opens up conference play on Friday against Davidson. It will be a game one of a doubleheader starting at 3:30 down on the new turf. The Bonnies will look to take advantage of a struggling Davidson team which has only scored one goal in their last 5 games. Senior Brittany Charles will be in the spotlight for the St. Bonaventure offense. She currently leads the team with 7 points. For Davidson, this will be their first Atlantic 10 game in team history. Conference games always carry a lot of weight, but the women's team will face an even bigger test on Sunday as they take on Richmond. The Spiders currently lead the A-10 in points with 73 and in goals with 22. Bonaventure has only scored 10 goals this year, but are tied for second in least goals allowed with 10. Richmond has led in the most amount of goals this season with 25. That game kicks off in Richmond at 1 p.m. on Sunday. The men's soccer team will play 3 games in the span of 5 days this week. They will be the second game of a doubleheader on Friday when they kick off against St. Francis at 6 p.m. The men's team is still searching for that first win of the year. So far, they've only scored 2 goals this season, both coming in a 3-2 overtime loss against Canisius. St. Francis enters the game with a 6-3-1 record. Then on Sunday, the men will travel to St. Louis to take on the Billykins in their A-10 opener. St. Louis is second in the conference with a record of 7-2. The Bonnies will get just a few days rest before traveling to Hartwick for their final non-conference game of the year on Wednesday. Hartwick has also yet to win a game this season and has a total of just 7 goals in 11 games. The men's tennis team will keep their season rolling after struggling at the Navy Invite last week. On Friday, they travel to New Haven, Connecticut for the Yale Invite. Other teams competing in the tournament will be Army, Bryant, and of course, Yale. Andrew Blair will need to continue his strong start for the Bonnies. He's 3-0 so far on the season. And finally, they may not be in season yet, but the softball team is staying active in the community. On Saturday, they will host a juvenile diabetes Play for a Cure Day at the Mara Athletics Field Complex. The annual charity event allows children to participate in many fun games ranging from a home run derby to 3-point shooting contest. The event will begin at 1 p.m. and run all the way to 6:30. Teams on a bye this week are the cross-country teams, both men's and women's, and the women's tennis team. I'm here with AJ Vitanza, senior men's rugby player. AJ, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We had some technical difficulties earlier. The computer in the lab, or not the lab, the radio station stopped working, so we're doing take 2 now. So, all right. So the team's in a new conference this year. It's your first year in this conference. Could you explain to the listeners a little bit about the conference you're in?
Yeah, so we moved from the Empire Conference to Rugby East. So we're playing a lot more tougher competition in bigger schools, such as Penn State. We play this weekend. We just played Army. Iona actually moved up with us, along with UB. And then who else? We played Kutztown and maybe some like just big name rugby schools. So it'll be a good opportunity for us.
Cool. And so, have you noticed a difference in the level of competition this year?
Yeah, definitely. There's especially against Army last weekend. We played very well, but they're just very in shape and very tough. So I mean,
can imagine.
Yeah, I mean they don't make as many mistakes as like the last one does. So like they whenever you make a mistake, they capitalize on it and score.
Much more disciplined sort of teams than you were used to facing in the Empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So how have you guys been prepping for this new conference? Like in training, has your training changed at all?
So we've actually put a lot more responsibility on the individuals and players to get in the gym, kind of work on their conditioning and overall fitness by themselves almost. We'll send out programs and stuff, but other than that, during practice, we're working on more of a technical side of it and trying to save our bodies throughout the rest of the season.
Can you be a little more specific? What kind of technical stuff are you guys working on, or what kind of conditioning are you guys doing?
Yeah, definitely. So, well, conditioning-wise for the gym, we found a rugby workout that was good for like the whole summer and like throughout the season. That's like for the gym time, and then we'll do our own sprints and stuff like that during practice. But and unlike past years where we've been like hitting a bunch, we'll tackle during practice a lot. We don't do that as much this year just because we want to save our shoulders and kind of cut out the minor injuries that like the wear and tear of the whole rugby season has.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about before we started recording here. We were talking about some of the injuries you guys have had. You said team's a little banged up right now.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, that just comes with the territory of playing the game. We're actually a little more banged up than we were expecting as of right now. So, well, I mean, that's just the main. That's been it's a constant struggle for rugby, especially for being a smaller school. We don't have that many numbers.
Yeah.
Like Army had 60 kids on their team last year, and we had 35. So, wow. I mean, so like once we start, some of the A-side players keep going down, then you just gotta roll with the punches and kind of throw guys in there and try to build them up quick. And it's a steep learning curve on our team, but I mean, everyone steps up really well, and I think that's the culture we kind of thrive off of. Is everyone has to do their job, not even from the best guy on the team to the worst guy on the team, or else like no one's gonna get the right reps.
You as a club team, do you guys have a trainer?
We do not. So I know we were just talking about this, but it stinks, quite honestly. I was talking to my coach about it the other day, and I was saying how as a serious club team, we actually take on so much more responsibility, like the coach does, and we do if we want to be successful than the D1 teams, mainly because we can't just focus on playing rugby. We got to focus on nutrition. We got to focus on weightlifting, conditioning. We got to focus on recovery. We got to try to figure out like pay for our own like therapy and stuff like that if we really want it. So I mean, it's a tough road. I mean, or you just got to suck it up and keep going with it. So
it obviously there's a lot of resources that varsity teams have. They have academic resources, study halls to help them out. They have trainers when they get hurt. You know, they don't have to pay for their own PT or physical therapy, I should say. And you personally, do you do other stuff outside of rugby for the school? Are you a peer coach?
Yeah, I'm a peer coach. I'm in Enactus. I do their Bahamas program. I'm in SIM, Students and Money Management, and I think that's it.
So you're doing a lot outside of something that already sounds like it takes so much time and effort to do with rugby. How do you handle that?
It's just time management mainly. I mean, it's funny. My coach actually talked about this the other day too, saying when you're in something, you focus on that at the time. Your mind can't be going a million different directions all the time. So when you're in rugby practice 2 hours, you're doing rugby. When you're in class, you're in class. When I'm in Enactus, I'm doing Enactus. So I mean, once you set up your day, then you got to focus on that stuff like 100% and get it done in that time period, and then once you have that down, you can focus on what you're doing then.
Do you think it would be easier if rugby was recognized as an actual NCAA division sport?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be for the school to make us a varsity program. So a lot of the schools we're playing, like Penn State is considered a varsity program for the school, even though it's not NCAA.
Right.
So they just get all the perks as a D1 team would. So I mean, it would be easier. It's funny because rugby has like a different culture. So I think it would being NCAA regular would be good and bad because it would, I don't say kill the culture of it, but
it would sort of take away.
It would take away from some of the, I'll say, bonding experiences that rugby teams have.
Okay. Oh yeah, we'll keep it at that. I think people get that.
Yeah.
So why, maybe this isn't something that you can answer, but why isn't rugby a varsity sport here at Bonaventure? Do you know?
I'm not totally sure. I think they're slowly moving that way.
Yeah.
I mean, Bonaventure, if some people don't know, is in a tough spot right now financially, and numbers are down.
I think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, all that stuff. So, I mean, I think we are very low on the list of priorities to make us like a varsity sport, but I think we're moving that direction if things start to pick up. It's like when I was a sophomore, we used to be called St. Bonaventure, or we used to be called the Outlaws. That was our club team name.
Mm-hmm.
Then St. Bonaventure asked us to be the Bonnies. So that was like one step, and then we got to be on the turf field. We got that big night game on family weekend that we just played last weekend. So it's like slow little steps like that, and so hopefully like a varsity program. I mean, somewhere down the road. But I mean,
Are you guys doing anything actively to try and push it towards a varsity program?
yeah, I mean, we try to keep as clean of an image as possible. I mean, like we do like our community service. We go to the mountain every year. We do a lot of things. We have things like we have library hours set in place for certain GPAs that you have on the team, and certain stuff like that. I mean, just trying to make us like look as responsible as possible, so that maybe down the road it will help. So be like maybe they can add another sport down the road and be like rugby is at the top of the list.
I asked this to Laura Clessy from the women's team last week when she was on the show, and we kind of got into a conversation about scrum caps, which are, for anybody that doesn't know, just protective headgear that rugby players wear. And I think we mentioned earlier that not a lot of guys on the team wear them.
Yeah, so scrum cap thing, I mean, some guys will wear them because when they're, I don't know if some people haven't watched rugby, but like the scrum where all the guys are connected and come together. Some guys are like in between two of their people's hips and their ears get chafed and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they protect their ears, and other people that have pass injuries or head injuries wear it too. But other than that, like, I don't wear one personally, and I know a lot of guys don't either, because I think it's more of a mental thing. I think I was saying before, 2 years. I mean, some people may wear it for a mental edge. I don't, because I don't think I need it really. I don't think there's not that much padding on it to really protect you if you got knocked really good in the head. Mm-hmm. And then, other than that, I don't know. I don't think it's tough to say. I guess I don't think it wouldn't give me a mental edge if you're like doing everything technically right and you're putting your head in the right position and you're not throwing your head into someone's legs or spearing someone. Then you're not going to get. You most likely won't get a concussion.
Right. I know Laura cited comfort last week when she said it personally just doesn't feel good for her. She doesn't feel like she can play to her full potential when she's wearing equipment. Yeah,
it's different. I mean, so I guess that'd come back to like your NCAA thing. Mm-hmm. Rugby's not fully regulated yet, so like you don't have to wear a mouth guard. So like I don't wear a mouth guard just because I don't like I can't breathe well with it in. Right. Yell really good with it. I'd have to take it out constantly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I've tried on a scrum cap before and I can't like hear with it. Right. It's just not. I feel like I'd get used to it after a while, but it's just not a thing that I like.
I feel like I have to ask you this question because I asked Laura it last week. We've talked so much about the culture of rugby. Do you think there's a sort of anti-culture towards equipment? Like, do people maybe want to be tough, seen as tough, not wearing the equipment?
Yeah, I'd say so, but I would never say. I've never seen anyone look down on someone for wearing a scrum cap.
Right.
So, I mean, that's not a thing. I think. I mean, obviously, especially for male rugby, there's a lot of testosterone in that sport. So,
of course.
I mean, guys will more want to be tough, as in they try to like play that they're not like play off that they're not hurt or something like that. Like we had guys get a concussion, not tell anyone, and keep trying to play stuff like that.
Right. So one of the things that you guys have that a lot of the Division I sports don't even have is the alumni support. Could you talk a little bit about what that means to the team?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying before, a couple of things. I mean, one, the main obviously thing is financially. I think they were the biggest donors for the new turf field out of any of the D1 sports, which would amaze some people. And then what they also provide like the brotherhood of the team, mainly of like how long the team's been going on and how much they cared about it, even wasn't serious, and just it's almost like they follow it like a professional sports team,
right? And
just makes you feel special and makes you feel a part of something bigger. So like when they all come back for alumni weekend, it's actually it's very cool because they have so like we'll have an alumni game and then whoever wins the cup will play like current players versus the alumni. Whoever wins it wins this big trophy, and it has like all the scores from the past years on it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, we pass it on each year, and so it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys haven't had exactly the ideal start to the season so far. Lost to Iona, lost to Army. What are some of the goals that you guys have looking forward?
Just keep playing hard. I guess one of the main things, like just kind of a bigger picture view of it, is sometimes it's hard to keep people motivated for, I hate when people say just like rugby's a club sport, like, oh, it's just a club sport. I mean, yeah, it is, but if you take that mentality to it, then you're never going to be a serious sport. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know why you just go through the motions of something just to be on the team. You know?
Right.
Rugby's not one of those sports where it's like you can just half do it and lose and have fun. Like you're going to get messed up pretty bad if you don't have fun. So I mean, it's what do I want to say? What was the original question again? I'm losing.
What are the goals for this upcoming season?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it's mainly staying motivated throughout. That's what my point. It was mainly staying motivated throughout the whole season, getting guys excited, even like rolling through the punches. Like we know we're gonna face tough competition. I mean, last year we'd go face a tough team, but then the next week we'd play Binghamton and win 70 to 5. So I mean, this week we've had a tough game against Army, but now we're going to play Penn State, who's equally as good.
Right.
So we just gotta stay motivated, stay focused throughout the whole season, and try to just keep working through it, find our stride.
So I feel like I got to ask this question. I've asked everyone who it's relevant to. How do you like the new turf so far?
I love the turf. I mean, some people say like, oh, you get turf burn and it's not as forgiving and stuff like that, but they did a great job on it. I mean, it's actually very soft. I like it. I mean, you don't really feel that much, but it was awesome. The lights were great too. I mean, if they didn't put those in, then it would have stunk, but it's really nice. I like it a lot.
Do you prefer turf or grass?
If it's like very manicured grass field, then I'd rather play on that. But our field isn't, so I'd rather play on the turf.
Okay. So how about, do you have any plans to continue rugby when you're done with school?
Possibly. It depends where I go for it. I was in New York City this summer for an internship, and I played with the men's team down there because Kevin McCory, I don't know, you probably know him, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
They call him Squeaks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. he did like the buzz and that stuff.
Yeah.
He plays for them now and a couple other alumni. So there's a bunch of men's teams around the country. So maybe something like that. Depends on my time commitments, but I would love to. I mean, I know a lot of guys will take time off just to let their bodies recover, like actually like walk around for a whole year.
Understandable.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of opportunities to play rugby. Like rugby's starting to get a lot bigger throughout the U.S. at least. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that people don't really realize.
Really quick, if anybody wants to donate to the team, is there a place that they can go or someone to get in contact with?
Yeah, either myself or Clarence Picard, who is our coach.
Okay, and you want to just shout out your email or something really quick?
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable doing that, it goes on YouTube.
My email is Vitanza, so it's Vitanza J11 @sbu.edu.
Excellent. AJ Vitanza, senior men's rugby player. Thanks for coming on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
That's it for the show. Tune in next week for even more Bonaventure sports news and interviews. But for now, I'm Zach Warren, and this is Bona Sports Weekly. Have a fantastic week.
Well, just because she feeds me well, and she made me talk to her in a pink hotel. If I had known you get me, she's the second best killer I